The last question was question 7, and it was all about an open cast coal mine. Now this was an open cast, not an underground mine. And the first thing I think they ask you is to look at the map for this rock here, FDT. Name the rock type and the geological feature. So this area, we can see that it's this green rock here, which is the feature they're looking at. And what is the rock type? Well, if you look at that on the key, it's over here somewhere. Rock on the key, and keep it straight. Where are we? It's this rock here. So you can see it's dolerite, FDT is dolerite, so that was a simple 1 mark. Now, what feature was it? Well, you can see it in 2 ways. Firstly, obviously you can see it running across here. It seems to be long, thin, linear and discordant. Have a look at the cross section. It looks as though it's long, thinner and discordant, and I would call that a dike. Question 7b asked you to complete this table to indicate the order of superposition of the 3 coals first encountered during the proposed mining operations beneath the No site. Alright, so it's a bit complicated, a lot of information there, so let's go and have a look at the 3. The No site is in this area, this quadrant of this square, and you can see that the coal measures are marked TAC, these are the seams, one seam is TAC, CRE, CAC. Now, if we go and look at the stratigraphic column, we can see the same rocks. TAC, which happens to be target coal, CRE, creepy coal, good name, and CAC, calmstone coal. Now, you can see there, because this is in order, the oldest one must be the bottom one, CAC, the next youngest is CRE, and the youngest is TAC. So, question, the youngest one would be TAC, then CRE, good old named creepy coal, and the oldest would be the CAC. That's how you got your 2 marks for this one. A bit more complicated than that. There's another coal seam called the Kirkconnell Splint Coal, the KSP. It's seen, they tell you it's at this grid reference, which we'll have a look at in a minute, and they say it would not be expected under the Samiston site, the other proposed open cast extension, and they want to know why. So, and we can see the grid reference they've given. It was 69, which is here, 69.8, which comes to about there, 13.1. So we're talking here, you can see it labelled here. So there is the outcrop of the KSP. The area of the Samiston proposed site is basically this area here. And they're asking why doesn't the KSP, why not be expected to be seen if they dug down into this area here? Well, the reason being is that if you take the previous coals, TAC was the youngest and CAC was the oldest, so the rocks dip from oldest to youngest, they're dipping away here, and the same is here. These rocks here are older than these ones, so the dip direction is basically south, and so you wouldn't expect to see the KSP here. If I draw a diagram to show what I mean, if you have the surface and the KSP dips this way, that's KSP dipping south, that's the north. This is where you're going to have your open cast coal mine. You're never going to, even if you dig all the way down, you're never going to reach KSP because it dips in this direction. That's 1 mark. The second mark would say these rocks are older, so they're underneath the KSP. The KSP would have extended above the surface, but they've all been eroded off since. The next part 3, just suggests 2 geological factors. You only have to name the factors, it's only a suggestion, and they just said the factors, you don't have to explain them or anything. but two factors that may affect the accuracy of coal reserve estimates. So what factors might affect their knowledge of how thick the coal reserves are? And the simplest thing is, well, if the rocks are faulted, that could disrupt the beds, so that could upset the accuracy of the coal reserve prediction. The coal could split, coal splitting, i.e. the seams start off, let's draw a diagram, so the seams start thick and then sometimes they split and they become thinner, so one gets thinner, the coal seam splits and comes thinner like that, and that would ruin the estimation how much they could get out. And those are the main two and easiest things to describe for that question. Now, that part C was the bit most of you didn't get many marks at all, which is a shame because it was worth 6 marks and was pretty straightforward. So using the information given so far and your knowledge, obviously a dangerous thing, your knowledge, identify the possible environmental issues. Now that's key, so let's highlight that, environmental issues associated with further extraction of the coal reserves. Now, we are talking about an open cast mine, not an underground mine, so this is an open mine to the elements. Obviously, if you're starting to extract more materials from the ground, you're going to cause more problems in terms of noise pollution from the blasting and the general extraction, the lorries, the machinery. So the machinery would cause noise pollution. You'd also get vibration from the blasting and all the lorries and trucks. It would have a visual impact as well. It would look ugly, it would look a mess because there's a great big hole in the ground. Obviously with all the blasting, the trucks and all the material got out, there would be a problem with dust, which have impact on the air quality, and maybe people will have respiratory problems from that. There's the fact that you're actually digging up all the landscape, so there would be a loss of habitat, and that would affect the local ecology of the area. Plants and animals would be destroyed and they would lose their area they lived in. And lastly, you could talk about environmental problems. You could talk about the effect on the hydrogeology of the area. You could get pollution of the water table. You could have flooding maybe of the site. So these are the sort of things you're expected to talk about, and you couldn't just name them because it's a 6 marker. You'd have to perhaps name them and explain why they would cause environmental issues.